Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This video we are looking at the Thursday MLB picks. We have only a 6-game main slate today, so nice short slate for us to dig into. Looking at this slate, before we get started, as always, I appreciate if you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. There are 4 teams that really stick out in terms of stacking. It's the Reds, Astros, the Yankees, and the White Sox. The Blue Jays are in the mix as well, but those other 4 teams just are in such great spots. Yankees going up against a lefty at home, so Giancarlo Stanton continues to be underpriced. We know how much he mashes lefties. He would be a kind of one of the core pieces of the Yankees I would like to get to. On the red side, you have a bunch of value plays. You have Kyle Farmer, who's absolutely mashing the ball right now. You have Matt Schrock, who's also hitting the ball really well. Naquin, sub $3,000. He looks appealing. You can go Suarez as a powerful third base option. Tucker, value catcher. On the Astros, once again, you got a bunch of value. You have Michael Brantley starting to swing a hot bat. He's $3,100. Alvarez gives you a ton of pop at only 46. Tucker's been hitting the ball well. Diaz is lights out right now. And then even like Correa looks great at shortstop. And you can even go Maldonado as your catcher. The White Sox against lefties, they are easy to get to. You have Tim Anderson, a core piece on the White Sox. Abreu would be a nice option. And then you can throw in Cesar as a cheap second base option. You can go with Vaughn as a cheap outfielder or go all the way up for Eloy Jimenez. So I really want to focus on those teams. I think the Braves could go overlooked today. So I wouldn't mind stacking them if you make a bunch of teams, especially like Albies against lefty, Soler against a lefty, and then Riley. Those would be and Duvall would be like 4 pieces I'd like to get to. But those other teams are just in such great spots that those would be where I start. Pitching wise, a couple of decent pitching options today. I would like to get to both of those top guys, and that's Framer Valdez and Sonny Gray. Gray hasn't been great to us sometimes this year. He's just been up and down, but after a negative 7.5 against the Cardinals, bounced back with 26 against the Mets. Overall, he's been pretty safe. He's had a couple of blowout spots, which really bumped up his ERA, but still gets you a bunch of strikeouts, 96 and 76 innings. Doesn't give up a ton of walks, and he goes deep into games, so that is what I like to get as my pitcher, and he's only $9,300. Looks like one of the better options compared to everybody else. And the Valdez going up against this kind of watered down and kind of banged up and trading away some of their better pieces in the Twins offense here. He's been great this year. Strikeouts not as high as Sonny Gray, but still limits damage, gets those Ks when he needs to, and he also will go plus 90 pitches, maybe get close to 100 if he's pitching really well. He gets a ton of ground balls, so that should help him go deep into this game. So those were my 2 favorites. I would say Stripling makes some sense as a contrarian option, but he's pretty closely priced to those guys, so I just like to get to them instead. Then I don't really see myself going to any of these value pieces here at all. Looking at the bats, first base option, bunch of good plays, but Jose Abreu sticks out. Anytime he's going up against the lefties where I have a bunch of interest, he's been really bad recently, only 118 average, but his numbers against lefties speak for themselves. This year, Abreu has a 303 ISO against lefties, only 176 ISO against righties. Last year, when he was just hitting the ball really well for high average, he batted 250 only, but 4 bombs and only 52 at-bats career-wise. His numbers are 300 plus against lefties with a 248 ISO. So Abreu is a guy I like to get to if I was going to pay up at first base. Second base, you have some cheap plays that we could look to if you're not going to want to pay up for Albies or Simeon or Altuve at the top. You have Toro's been hitting some bombs. You wanted to play him at $3,500. You got some more value pieces if you scroll down to looking at Matt Schrock here. He's $3,400. He's been hitting the ball really well. 6 hits in his last 15 at-bats. Had a 5-hit game against the Mets recently. So if he's in the lineup today, which I do expect, he would be a great option. Cesar makes sense as well at $3,700. Moving on to third base, Moncada, even though he's better against righties, I mean, he's only 48. So some of these guys banged up in front of him. He looks all right, but I like to go a little bit cheaper if I could for like Aledmus Diaz, only $2,700 for him. He gets overlooked a ton. People leave him out in their Astro stack a bunch just because he bats closer to the bottom, but sometimes he gets bumped up into the top half, but it doesn't really matter with him. He just, in limited sample this year with injuries, he just gives you a bunch of power. He gets on base, and he gets just so cheap at only $2,700. A lot to like. He's been crushing the ball recently. So give me Diaz at only 27 to fill out a third base option. In the outfields, I have to like a couple. Another Astro would be Kyle Tucker, who's $3,800. Also a guy that gives you a bunch of power upside, batting almost 300 in his last 10. He gets a nice platoon advantage here. He's also been great at home, batting 320. So Tucker makes a bunch of sense. And then Stanton, been playing him a bunch recently, but his price tag just isn't high enough to where it should be against a lefty. He continues to mash lefties. He's been hitting the ball a lot better recently. So last couple of games, 4 hits. Anytime you get a team going up against these Baltimore bullpen and this Baltimore pitching staff, you'd expect them to put up a bunch of runs. And the Yankees did that last night. I think there's a good chance that happens again today. So these 6 get you started for DraftKings. Let's jump over to FanDuel. All right, over on FanDuel, I like Sonny Gray as my pitcher. He's cheaper again than Valdez. Gives you a little bit more strikeout upside. Toussaint is 85. I think I like those other guys more expensive than him. And then I don't really myself go into any of these guys down here. For the bats, still love Jose Abreu. First base / catcher option, not only $3,400, so nice value piece. Diaz is $2,800. He looks great if you needed a cheap second base option. If you wanted to save $1,500 from going to Altuve. Other guys look appealing are like Hernandez. I would say you could throw Whit Merrifield just because he's affordable at only $3,100. I love Kyle Farmer just because he's so cheap again, and he's been hitting the cover off the ball. $2,900 for a guy that has been racking up the hits, racking up the RBIs, home runs recently. So go ahead and put him back in here. And you can play him at multiple positions. You can play him at shortstop or second base. So if you play Diaz, plugged him into the utility, doesn't really matter. And then Alvarez, outfield, he is only $100 more expensive than Brantley. So then Tucker. So on FanDuel at least, I like Alvarez a little bit more than Tucker just for the home runs that he presents. And that's about it for the video. So thank you for watching. Best of luck tonight, and I'll see you all next time.